Check. Check. 1, 2. We are live. The Coffee and Biscotti Show. I'm your host, Crew Mel Bellissimo. And today is, you guessed it, folks, Friday the 13th. Oh, yeah. Today, my friends, I've got a show. I've got a killer show. And I'm super excited because our guest today, I call him famous. He's a famous guy. Let's face it. You don't get to not be called famous when you have, I don't know, something like 4.4 million followers on TikTok. Holy shitballs, man. I have to say, I'm super honored. I'm super honored to have this handsome gentleman on the show today. And here's why. So for those of you that are new, that are tuning in, I want you to know why I created this platform. I created this platform because I wanted the opportunity to share stories of passion and to share stories of transformation. Many people would argue that the world is in the toilet. And the question is how do you get out of it? Well, having this gentleman today and listening to his story is going to inspire you and motivate you to get out of your comfort zone so that you can go after the things that you love. He is an amazing human being, and I'm so happy that not only we have him on the show, but that the world has him. Because I talked to him a few days ago, and I just said to him a few minutes ago backstage, I said, hey man, if you were closer, me and you, we would be boys. And that's the truth, because we share so many things in common. You know, it's nice to know what the titles are. You know, he's an actor, he's a model, he's a writer, he's a producer. And I love that he put, he's an accidental content creator. But those are the things that people see. You know, they see the titles. But let's face it, what's behind the scenes? I mean, I was going to come on and joke around right off the start and say, listen, man, I'm on this Twitch stream. We're in the Twitchiverse. You don't even know if I have pants on. And that's the truth. But I'll tell you this, there's something to be said about that. And that is that you don't know the story behind a man. A friend told me once that you've got to eat a ton of salt with someone before you really get to know them. And that's the truth. And this gentleman has overcome so many adversities. He truly is an inspiration. And I feel him. I really feel him deep inside my heart. And I couldn't be more excited to welcome this gentleman to the show. So without further ado, wherever you are in the world, I want you to get off your comfortable seat, because, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome the one, the only, Chris Barnett.
You are too kind. You are too kind, man. And we are bros, despite the distance. You know that.
Yep, absolutely. And there he is, folks. How could you not love that face? That, like God, when God made Chris, he said, geez, let's give him everything. Let's give him good looks. Let's give him this sparkling personality. Let's give him this talent. Dude, you're like a dude for real.
You're trying to make me blush, man. Jeez.
Yes, I am, baby. I hope it's working.
You warned me too. You warned me. I knew it was coming, but it still got me a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, bro, that it doesn't take long. You just feel. I'm an energy guy. You know, you want to give, I'm going to ask you for some background, but I'll tell you this, Chris, just so that everybody in our friends in the Twitchiverse, you know, they get to know. I'm a guy who spent 25 years as a mixed martial arts coach, and I had some pretty dark days. And then I called out to the universe and said, God, all I want to do is help people. So why the hell is this shit going on in my life? And then I was introduced to an orthopedic surgeon from South Africa, and I started down the road of metaphysics in a school that was head by one of the former bodyguards of the Dalai Lama. And I decided that I needed to understand this journey a little more. Because I've learned how to move the physical body in the most efficient way possible. You don't get a guy to the UFC when you don't know how to do that. And I've done that. But one of the things that is really remarkable is that I started to understand that we're actually really not here to learn anything. And all the masters who've walked this planet have said that this is about remembering who you are. And that's what we're here to do. And your story, Chris, does exactly that. That's what I love, and I'm so passionate about this story. So here's what I'd like you to do first, Chris. I want all of us in the Twitchiverse to sort of to get you to paint a picture of who this guy is. Who is Chris Barnett?
My goodness, where do I start? So, Chris Barnett is the middle child, growing up with two brothers, the trouble child, as it were. I like to think I'm a little rehabilitated by now, a little bit. Always active, ADHD signs very early on, didn't actually get diagnosed until way later, but I was bouncing around everything, sports, every sport you can imagine. I always loved moving around, and that was kind of what I did. As I got older, I was playing sports in high school. I knew I wanted to act by this point. I always loved performing. My late grandmother, bless her soul, for politely called me a ham, but you could have called me a terror or anything else. I loved attention. I needed it. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to make people feel things. And I was a coward in high school. I was a jock. I couldn't do theater. Like, what would my friends say? So I go to college, and I'm playing lacrosse in college. And at that point, I accidentally started modeling. And that's a story maybe for another time, but I could give you bits and pieces. It involves me and my friends at a bar in Boston and accidentally getting a cranberry vodka spilled on my white V-neck. I take it off to change behind one of the booths. This older woman approaches me, and I thought she was picking me up. I would have lost money that she was picking me up. In fact, I maybe did. Who knows? But she says, "Hey, I love your look. I'm a model scout. Can I take some photos of you?" And I'm like, "Sure. Say less,
Sure.
madame."
Yeah.
And she gives me an address. It's like she's staying at a hotel, I guess, not too far away. And I'm like, she just gave me her hotel. Like, okay, guys, it's done. So I actually go over there, like literally like not an hour after the bar. She snaps some photos. She meets me in the lobby, snaps some photos like with her phone. And she's like, "Thanks. Have a great night, and you'll hear from me." And I'm like,
That's it?
I'm like, "Excuse me." And I thought nothing of it until a couple of weeks later. She contacted me, and then I started modeling. And when that first paycheck came in, I realized while studying pre-law, I don't need to do, the standard path. Like, it's possible. And that gave me the courage to be like, you know what? Can I curse on here? I don't know the rules.
Yeah, sure you can.
All right.
Fucking swear.
Fuck what everyone thinks. Like I just got into an acting class in college, and I continued modeling. And then right when I got out of college, I basically had this epiphany at my dinner table when I was about to apply for law school. I didn't want to be a lawyer at all. I already knew that. The work was pretty easy for me. It came naturally to me. I just wanted to play a lawyer on TV. That's all I wanted to do, man. So thankfully, I had supportive parents. My mother used to be an actress back in her day as well on Broadway. And I told them, I'm like, "Hey, I'm moving to New York. I'm going to be an actor." They were surprised. Well, a little bit. My mom wasn't surprised. My dad was like, "Okay, do your thing, man." Then I was like, "All right." Went in, and then the rest is history. I was on the grind, hustling, and just doing my very best to navigate it by myself. which I'm still doing to a point. I mean, I've got a new manager now, but I've always kind of tried to figure it out on my own. No one really helps you out in this industry that much, unless you're very fortunate. But I've made some good friends along the way, and the grind never stops, man. So I'm just grateful to be where I am and grateful to be alive, honestly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that the first thing that comes to mind, Chris, is exactly the villain in the story of what I do with clarity coaching, and that I'm like you, man. If everybody's going left, I go right. And I've always been like that. I mean, I want you to imagine, Chris, what it would be like to tell my, at the time, 70-year-old Italian mom, immigrant mom, hey, listen, Ma, I'm going to go to Thailand and I'm going to punch people in the face for a living. She said, oh, how nice. She said, couldn't you get like a regular job? Like, can't you be like a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, engineer? You know what? You're a good bullshitter. You know what? Why don't you become a politician?
There you go.
And I said, I just can't do it, man. I can't do it. I need to do what I love. And I think that that's why this is so powerful. And for everybody that's listening, this is what I want to sort of instill, that the villain is programming. Nobody knows what's best for Chris Barnett except for Chris Barnett.
And define what's best anyway, right?
Exactly.
I think what's best is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Within reason. Don't be an actual villain, guys.
Yeah, fair enough.
But whatever sets your soul on fire, man, life is far too short. People often ask me these questions that I don't particularly like. If you weren't acting, what would you be doing? The answer is nothing. Right. I have no other choice.
It's not a good question.
This is all I can do. I couldn't work a 9 to 5. I would hate myself. I would hate myself if I wasn't true to myself in what I wanted to pursue and what I wanted to do. And the other question would be, what's your biggest fear? And thankfully, I kind of conquered that for the most part, which was waking up at 40 and having that realization that you wasted so much of your life lying to yourself, playing it safe, and not going after what you wanted because of what someone told you. And thankfully, I'm impulsive and that's some nice words. Brave enough to pursue what I want, and I've been so incredibly fortunate with the support that I've garnered through social media, which I never anticipated myself really doing, honestly. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Awesome. I think that what I love about that is, you're right. We don't what is best, but I'll tell you what is hell. And in the world of metaphysics, Chris, we were told that hell is moving further and further away from what your soul desires. And
that resonates, man.
Yeah, man. And I love that, because hell's not a place of fire and brimstone, not in my eyes. Hell is living somebody else's narrative and not your own. And that's why I love what you do, because it takes a lot of courage to give up, get out of law school, have this realization that, shit, man, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to play a lawyer. I love that.
Oh, man, I'll never forget my parents' faces. The initial shock wore off and they were supportive, but they were like, really? Like, we've always told you were a performer. Like, now you decide after college? Okay, whatever. Like, go get him. Break a leg.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened? I mean, Chris, so you did this. So you went into acting, you moved to New York, and then what?
Hey, man, the hustle, the grind. If you're in the acting industry, it's not that fairy tale that it used to be sometimes for some people, like Matthew McConaughey or Brad Pitt, where they, move from a small town or get discovered in a bar. Like, Brad Pitt moved from where? Middle America somewhere to, I think, was it LA or New York? And then he hops on set as an extra and the director sees him like, wow, that guy's handsome. Get him up here. That doesn't really happen anymore. So you work a side job. We call it a survival job. something that keeps the roof over your head while you chase the dream. So
Yeah.
I was doing that, a lot of it, mostly modeling. So I was fortunate in that, like, I was getting a lot of modeling work, and I didn't have to, wait tables, the cliche actor thing.
Yeah.
But there were, I did do like promotional modeling and like models bartending and all this other stuff that was less than desirable. And I was just so hyper focused. That's all I do. I either hyper focus or I can't focus on anything. But if it's something I want, you bet your ass that's all I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. I was getting into classes like every other day, multiple classes, spending all the money I got on it, training and, new headshots and all the other stuff like showcases. I'm telling you, man, it's brutal for actors out there. You got to spend a lot of money that you don't have. And then you got to like keep paying rent in the most expensive city in the world. It's fun in its own way. But, the end of the month would always come. And you're looking at your bank account and you're like, uh-oh, like, what am I going to do? And you just got to keep the faith. That's all I can tell you. I mean, and never give up, because the industry is not that understanding. So like things like adult entertainment, you'll get offers for that. If you're in this industry, don't take them, because then the dream's dead. Or nowadays, a more, OnlyFans, for example, sweeping the world. People are making, I know several women making 6 figures per month on OnlyFans.
Wow.
And I'm very well aware that with my audience, and I could be rich overnight, like really rich, if I made an OnlyFans and started doing that kind of content, but my dream would be dead. So there's those temptations that I had to fight off a lot to kind of keep the dream alive. And then, I slowly but surely found my footing, found my stride. I got an agency, I got a manager, and things were looking up. I was getting into bigger and bigger rooms, meeting these casting directors that I'd only ever seen on IMDb or seen in end credits of like the shows that I watched. And it was a surreal feeling, or like reading for films where you would like be opposite Liv Schreiber. And I'm like, yo, this is insane. Or like HBO shows, like bumping into Jensen Ackles at Telsey & Co., the casting office in New York. I'm like, you're the supernatural guy. Like, I didn't say hi. I was like, play cool. You have the same job. He's just a little farther along than you. Like, oh, what's up, man? It's just such a fun world. But of course, when things are going their best, if you don't appreciate them, I feel like you can get them pulled out from under you. And even if you do, life is funny that way. I got in a car accident kind of at the height of my acting climb 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now. I was at a red light, and an SUV going about 55, unlicensed driver rear-ended me from a full stop. And my spine did not like that very much. And it was a hit and run under a red light with a traffic cam right there. And he reversed and tried to get away, and his front bumper fell off with his license plate. So it's like, but after that, about the next 2 years were an absolute hell because of my injuries, which I was still figuring out. And I had crap insurance in New York as a struggling actor. So you would have to wait a month to see a specialist of a certain kind, or you'd have to, I was basically doing everything I could to get seen by doctors. And because I didn't have the money to just like go to the hospital, I just didn't have the money to go to the ER and be like, I need help now. Nor did I guess the stubbornness in me too. I'm like, people probably have like gunshot wounds or something. Like they need the ER. Like I can handle it. I could be all right. But you slowly realize that as like, your motor function kind of changes and you can't get out of bed in the morning physically, something's wrong. So I spent the next year essentially watching my life explode or deteriorate, implode, erode, whatever word you want to use, in front of me. So I saw my agent and my manager, and I don't necessarily blame them. I do. I'm highly motivated by revenge, but I'll say that I don't blame them. They dropped me, which is fine. I couldn't really go out to auditions much. I was kind of incapacitated, but they released me, and then I couldn't work the modeling, the model. It was like a model delivery boy thing where you essentially brought this organic, farm to table, grass fed, cruelty free food to these bougie companies, and then you sat there and smiled while they ate and like helped them with whatever. But you had to. It was manual, so you had to bring the bags of food, and it was heavy, and I could no longer do that. And that was where the majority of my friends were as well, because they hired a bunch of creatives, a bunch of actors, models, photographers, whoever. They they let me go. They kind of corporate ghosted me, as it were, and essentially I died in that car accident to a lot of people, which was lovely. I didn't have the luxury to dwell on it, much, because I had to find the next doctor appointment, and it got to the point where, and this is when I knew it was even worse than I had thought, because my parents called me up and they said, "Hey, you need to come home." And for me, that was the worst feeling, because it felt like I failed. So I swallowed my pride, what was left of it. I went back to my family home in Connecticut, and I consolidated my medical care. And now I'm very grateful that they let me, back on their insurance, so I could see good doctors in a timely manner. And I slowly but surely started chipping away at figuring out the puzzle of what is wrong with me, which was, not to bore everyone, but I think 3 of my C2, C3, C3, C4, C4, C5 cervical vertebrae were pretty badly injured. My lumbar as well, L3, L4, L4, L5, L5, S1, significantly injured. And then I had neuropathy in my left arm and radiculopathy in my left leg. So the left side of my body neurologically ain't doing so hot. Still, I did like 3 rounds of PT. I've done everything I can think of. I'm always open to try something new. Always. Like right now, I'm doing Pilates, which is good, because it's all about core strength and functional mobility and stuff. And it seems like every time I think I'm making progress, I learn something new. Like the other month, as it were, I've been complaining about my shoulder since the accident. And ironically, the first doctor I could get in to see right after the accident was a shoulder guy. And I was like, "Hey man, like I just got in this accident. Like I'm fucked up. I need some help, but I know something's wrong with my shoulder and probably my neck too. And I think my hips." And he gave me an x-ray and he said, "Nothing's broken." And I was like, "Well, no, nothing's broken. I'm talking like," and he just sent me on my way. He said, "Hey, do physical therapy, take these anti-inflammatories." I was like, "Okay." So I started PT, and it was making everything worse, obviously. And by the time I got to my next appointment, it was actually a hip guy, a pelvis guy. And he, based on his initial thing, was like, your neck needs to be looked at, like now. And I was like, "Okay." So he sent me to a neck guy, who finally gave me a scan. And he's like, "Holy shit, why have you been doing PT? Like, we need to address this first." And I was like, I'm just trying to get better, man. I don't know where to keep up. And eventually, I did more PT, saw more doctors. My insurance changed because my income changed. So I had to find all new doctors, do that whole process over again. And then I found a guy, because I don't do opioids. So I found a guy, a physiatrist and a spinal specialist, before I went back to Connecticut, who was kind of trying to deal with the inflammation all up and down. So for the next, 6 months, I was just getting epidural steroid injections all up and down.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah, dude.
This is intense, man.
It sucks. But it's all right.
Holy shit.
So after all those injections, and I had a girlfriend at the time, And I'm sure that wasn't easy for her either. Now that, you know, her once proud and bulletproof boyfriend is now, you know, just, just incapacitated for the most part. His days consist of doctor's appointments and trying to hopefully make money somehow. Um, then this is all prior to Connecticut. So once that all ended, I went back to Connecticut, and that's when it really got dark for me. I mean, I'm so grateful to my parents for letting me go back, getting me on the insurance, and kind of getting me back into recovery with all of these doctors. But I was alone, man. Yeah, I was in my, you know, my family home, and you know, my dad and mom and our 103-year-old great aunt that my mom decided to take care of is there. But I was alone. I lost all my friends. I lost my girlfriend. I lost my agent, my manager, my job, my life. And every day I was just waiting till the next doctor's appointment so they could tell me, go see this doctor. And it's like you wake up every day after trying everything, after trying to stretch, after trying nerve glides, after trying these PT exercises, just to get to a point where you feel like you can take on the day. So I would spend like 2 to 3 hours every morning just stretching and trying to do nerve glides and all that stuff, just so I could feel like I could, all right, you can move around now. Like, it'll be okay. And it's the Groundhog Day from hell, man. Every day, every time I wake up, it's just right back to square one. And it just started taking its toll. It really did. After about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months in Connecticut, I was definitely at my lowest. I mean, I'm talking full out depression, man. Like clinical stuff, the stuff that no one wants to show you about depression. Like there's only a very small path from the door to your bed. Everything else is dirty clothes and trash. It's filth. You can't even bring yourself to do the simplest things like practice personal hygiene, get out of bed, return a text, return a call, if they even came, which was sparing during that time. But I came to this crossroads, and and I don't often say I'm proud of myself, but that was a moment that made me very proud of myself, because I feel like I kept that one little nugget of who I was, which is this stubborn as hell, hyper focused, I mean, sometimes abrasive person. But I know what I want, and when I see what I want, I get what I want, one way or another. So I gave myself a choice. I had stumbled upon this app, TikTok, and I was like, that's stupid. Why would I do that? Same thing I said about Vine when it first came out. And I had this flashback. When Vine came out, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It's stupid. 6-second videos. Who wants to see that? Fast forward to me leaving acting class, where I'm spending thousands of dollars on training, and then getting back home, turning on Netflix and seeing those former Vine stars in movies. And I was like, at the time, I was so bitter. I was so bitter. I could not fathom the fact that they're not even actors. This is bullshit. It should be me. But I remembered that feeling. And had a lot of time to do introspection. And I was like, who do you think you are that you think you're too good for something, for a platform? Listen, buddy, like, you don't have anything going on for you right now. What do you have that makes you too good for this? So I said, you know what? You're right. I got jack shit. I got absolutely nothing. Nothing to lose. So I promised myself, hey, I could start acting again, because it's been a while. It's been quite a while, too long. So I promised myself I would make one stupid video on that stupid app every day for a year. No excuses. Just like I did my PT and my stretches every morning. It's one. I needed to do something, or I would find myself lost in the abyss. I couldn't take it anymore. So it was that or give up. And I am eternally grateful for my stubborn ass. and for what it's brought me, which is this overwhelming support that to this day keeps me going every day. If I, even because I still wake up with Groundhog Day from Hell syndrome, where my left hip doesn't work, my right shoulder's all jacked up, my neck is still injured, my labrum's torn off my bone, but I cannot sit anywhere else for a year, right? The recovery would be like a year and change, and I'm like, no. So it can't get any worse because it's ripped off. Good. All right, cool. We march on, because I ain't going back. I'm not going to go back and sit there and do nothing and be a prisoner anymore. But when I've got so many people now that believe in me, which is something I didn't have for the longest time. And it's life-changing, man. I'm eternally grateful for all of my supporters, and I can't let them down. So there, a lot of the times, creating for them is the reason I get up. When it started out selfishly, I needed to create for me, and now it's both. I create for myself and for all of these people who help lift me up. I feel like I went on for a long time there. Sorry.
I loved it. I didn't say anything. I don't even know for how many long, but I was so loving it. You know why, Chris? Because I feel it. I didn't listen with my ears. I listened with my heart. And one of the most incredible things, listen, I'll say that, there's so much to unpack there. Holy smokes, But I'll tell you this, when you're moving closer to who you want to be, who you doesn't want to be shows up.
Yeah, that's true.
And so a good friend of ours who is friends with Josh as well, is how I got to meet Josh, Chris, is a guy named Tuan Nguyen, and he's so an amazing guy, And what I love about when you said that is because here you are trying to, your dedication, your focus, and you could have all these temptations. You said that word, and I love that word, temptation, because it's like the shiny stuff. And I always tell the story of the professor with the golf balls and the mason jar, and how, he asks the class if it's full, and then he puts marbles and sand, and then he asks again, is it full? And the moral of the story being that we get so distracted with the marbles and the sand and the water that we forget that the golf balls represent the most important things in our lives. And you, my friend, embody exactly that. Someone who's willing to let go of the shiny things, to not get distracted by the shiny things, and go look at what you want to do and what you love to do. And that's why you are where you are right now.
I try my best, man. Trust me, ADHD, every time I see something shiny, I'm like, what's that? But it would be easy, but it wouldn't be what I want.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that, Chris. I want to talk about that because you so very, 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 I don't know, eloquently put in when we were looking at the bio and doing your bios, that you said that you are the proud owner of this debilitating ADHD. So let's,
Yes.
because that's something else. That's also on top of all the things that you do to. Josh in the chat he called it, oh my God, I got to go back. Physician ping pong, I think he called it.
That's good. I like that. Jesus.
So, let's dive into that a little bit. How did that, affect your life, and what sort of things did it do for you? What was maybe good about it? What was difficult?
The ADHD?
Yeah.
Well, all right. So the signs were all there forever, since I was growing up, but no one really thought much of it until after one of my worst concussions in a lacrosse tournament. I'm talking like blood out the ears, like I blacked out. I don't remember it. I was doing, I saw a neurologist, and when I saw them again to kind of get approval back, do the that test again to see if I could go back to sports, they were like, we want to test you for ADHD as well, because apparently I was just like playing with things in there and I couldn't really focus. But I don't know if the concussion made it worse or just revealed my true colors. But I think I liken it to a superpower and a curse. It's a double-edged sword.
Hmm.
You know, the meds that I'm on, they make me, as I like to say, somewhat functional as a regular member of society. But people think ADHD and they think like hyper all the time, but it's also hyper focusing, which I think is part of the superpower.
Hmm.
Because when you do focus on something, like for me, people are like, how do you remember lines? I'm like, if I have an audition, like this is the shit I love. You bet your ass I'm going to be hyper focused on that. I'm going to memorize it instantly. I'm going to read it over and over and over and over, like until I don't know, until I snap out of it. But when you've got a lot of things to do, life is full of things you don't necessarily want to do, like pay bills and pay taxes and do all, like anything that isn't what I want to do is a nightmare to get done, because I will find a million things to focus on and do before that. I'll make lists of things to do, and then I won't do any of them. It's like, it's a curse.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I like to. People ask me how I come up with a lot of the ideas for my videos, and I'm always like, ADHD and trauma. Like, it's about it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my videos are dark and stuff. They're not nearly as dark as I would want to make them because TikTok has rules. But I don't know. That's how I get inspired, I guess. I don't really think about it much. It just comes to me, usually at night when my meds wear off. That's when my craziness comes back
Yep.
to full throttle, and I start to just like randomly get these ideas. And you know, it would be cool that, and I'll write it down, and then usually I'll write it in shorthand, and then me of the future, aka me in the morning after the meds kick in, is looking at this shorthand like, what does that mean? And then I'll eventually decode it like a month later. But yeah, that's kind of my system. It's not very efficient. I'm more of an organized chaos kind of guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, but what I love what you said is that these ideas come from exactly that. I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot, Chris, about the idea of trials and tribulations. And before we came on, I shared with you a few of mine, and some of them, which are, of course, are not even public yet. Like my friends, my mom doesn't even know. But I'll tell you this: that it really has come to the understanding to me that without those trials and tribulations, you don't get the opportunity to bounce back from them, to understand the energy of bouncing back from something that's kicked you in the nuts and has put you down. And it's in doing so that you create this internal strength. See, because choice theory, which I'm a big fan of, Chris, is the work of Dr. William Glasser. And I talk to my clients and all my friends about choice theory. They're probably sick of me hearing it, but the truth is that I really love it because it's called the new psychology of personal freedom. And Dr. Glasser talks about how we are an internal control system and that we should not let external psychology affect the internal. And when you're suffering and you can't get out of bed and everything that you had is gone, man, that's fucking hard to do.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy.
That's rock bottom, man. People ask a lot because if you're familiar with social media or the internet, there's so much hate because people can anonymously say whatever they want to a stranger with little to no repercussion. It's unfortunate, but it's how it works. They ask me how I handle hate so well. And it's simple, really. None of them could hate me as much as I hated myself for the longest time. No one could possibly hate me more than I hated me, be more critical of me than I was. It's impossible. That's what brings you to that crossroads when you're on the floor. You're lower than you've ever been, and you can't accurately describe rock bottom to someone. It's something, and I am highly motivated by revenge. I am very vindictive, but I wouldn't wish it on the worst of my enemies, man. It's something, but like you said, man, you're going through it, and it's not even public. You can't even tell everybody about it. I'm honored that you told me, and again, I feel for you, man. But I guess you're right to look at it that way. Silver lining. You can't bounce back from rock bottom unless you hit it, and it's a feeling that's indescribable. And I could tell you, man, and I'm sure you know, when you're down there and you have that choice, the simple choice: do I give up? Because it's too hard. It's just too much. Like I cannot take it anymore. And you have that choice. You give up or you keep going. It's that simple. And that choice takes so much power. Someone said the other day to me in a live stream, who also has a similar situation where they've bounced back from a lot, and something bad happened to them, and they said, I don't think I can do it this time. And I'm like, actually, yeah, you can. You already proved that. You already know exactly what kind of person you are when you hit rock bottom. You're the kind of person that keeps going. And what better person to throw back to rock bottom than someone who's been there? Because not everyone's going to be able to handle it. It was close. It was close. But if you've been there, it gives you a new appreciation for everything. It gives you a new lens, as it were, to kind of prioritize life's various forms of bullshit.
Yeah.
How immaterial some of this shit is. At the end of the day, eat the dessert, man. Take the trip. Do the thing you're afraid to do. Look like an idiot. I do that all the time. People are like, how do you not get embarrassed? And I'm like, what do I have to be embarrassed about?
About what? I was just gonna say, about what?
Well, yeah, they're like, this video is stupid. Don't you feel embarrassed? I'm like, no. Do you?
Are you embarrassed for me?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're like. I feel secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, that sounds like a personal problem.
I was gonna say that's a you kind of problem, not a me kind of problem.
But yeah, I wish you the best for figuring that one out. But like, I'm not your therapist, so I'm gonna keep on keeping on. So enjoy. Yeah. Thanks for watching my stuff.
Well, can I say, man, it's a world full of it, and that's why I got to be honest with you, Chris. That's why I started the show today. Because there's a lot of new people on the show today. They're here for you. They're here to support you, and we need to get good fucking stories out there. You understand? We need to get shit like this. Shit like this, everybody needs to hear, because coming out of a pandemic, everybody's feeling something. Everybody's had some kind of loss. And if you haven't, be grateful. Thank whoever you thank, whoever's upstairs looking down on you. Be grateful every day that you weren't affected by something that was truly a global thing, a global event.
It still is, unfortunately.
It still is, man, of course.
But we're coming out of it. Well, slowly but surely. You have to believe that we'll get out of it. I mean, we've gotten out of pandemics before.
Yep.
I mean, as long as everyone, just care for your neighbor, man. Like, I'm selfish. Like, if I'm being honest, a lot of the times I can be very selfish, especially when it comes to something I want. But remember to prioritize that. Like, is your fun worth someone's life? Just keep that into account. And again, for the people who haven't experienced any kind of loss in this, Like Mel said, thank whoever you thank, but also remember that you're not the rule, you're the exception. So open your mind a little bit and be aware of everyone else, and kind of, I think everyone deserves a bit of a break. I had a head start on the whole isolation thing by about a year, so I guess in that way I was kind of ready for it. Not really, but I guess it was. I guess in a weird way, it made me feel like I wasn't losing as much of my life because everyone else was stuck inside too.
Yeah.
See, that's the selfishness I was talking about.
But Chris, let me ask you this question. I really want to know. Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about a situation with him. There's this great movie called The Shift: Ambition to Meaning. You can find it on YouTube. It's 2 hours long. As you've never seen it, watch it. It's awesome. But he talks about a quantum moment that changed his life. A quantum moment, something that happened that sparked. I mean, certainly we can talk about the actual accident being it, but was there something when you were sitting there, maybe at your parents' house? Was there a moment that you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, there's no fucking way I'm going to give up? Do you remember? Is there a moment?
There is. So it had gotten to the point where I essentially had already given up. I laid in bed all day. I barely ate. I barely went on my phone. There's no reason to. No one was texting me. I didn't have anyone. Maybe my brothers every now and then. But I also didn't want to burden them with they have their own lives. I already felt like a burden, I went from on the top of my game to back in my parents' house on their insurance, eating their food. And it literally felt like everyone's life would be better if I weren't there. And I had that thought. And I wasn't very lucid these days. I was pretty much a zombie. But when that thought came, I had a little shot come up me. And I was like, I legitimately just thought that. I legitimately just thought that. That's how I feel right now. So I sat there with my eyes open for a little bit, staring at the ceiling. And tears were just coming. For the first time in a long time, actually. I just sat there and I wasn't even crying. Tears were just coming. It was motionless, and there was just squalor. Dirty clothes everywhere. Empty chip bags, cups, bowls, plates. It was absolutely disgusting. And I looked at I looked past my feet at the door cracked. And I smelled myself. I smelled rank, man. I was like, I haven't showered in God knows how long. What's the point, though? What am I showering for? But something in me was like, I don't even remember the thought, but I found myself sitting at the edge of my bed and then slowly making my way to the bathroom. And I sat there and let the water run, splashed some on my face, and I looked at myself in the mirror for I don't even know how long. And it was like a decision time. That was the decision time. Do I end it all? Do I end my suffering? Because woe is me, right? I'm such a burden. I'm a shell of who I was. I have nothing left. I'm a waste of space. I am the problem that should just go away. And then I thought, what about my family, though? And it was the weirdest thing because I hadn't gotten a call in probably 4 days, 5 days. And he doesn't even know this. But my younger brother called me at that moment just to catch up, just to say hi. And it just it slapped me in the face. This kid looks up to me, you know. This kid, he believes in me probably more than I believe in myself half the time. And like, I was not a good brother to him. I was always a jackass. I was a bully, man. I was the worst until he got bigger than me. And then, you know, the dynamic shift. We had a mutual respect and understanding. But he called me, and all we did was talk, not about anything, like really, but that solidified that I can't give up, dude. I can't betray the image that this guy has of me. Like, wake the fuck up, buddy. So I got off the phone. I went right back into my room and I started cleaning. And it wasn't much. I'm moving like an 80-year-old woman. No offense to any elderly ladies out there, but I'm just slowly bending over, throwing shit out, just trying to maybe see my bed again. That'd be nice. And I ran out of energy pretty quickly, but I went showered, sitting down in the shower for probably an hour, just letting the water hit me and getting really angry at myself because I'm such a, my internal monologue's probably, you're such a pussy. What the fuck's wrong with you? Yep. I'm never very easy on myself, and I was exhausted. I got out of the shower and now I have a new comfort. That was huge. I changed my bed sheets and my bed was clear, even though the room was still messy. And I showered and I was out of energy. I was spent, but I knew after that day that I couldn't give up because what kind of older brother, would I be? What kind of son would I be? And it's like they all saw me, the old me, as I affectionately put it. This kid who's just like, you could see me and there's a crazy spark in my eye at all times. There's always mischief. There's always something. There's always something I'm doing or planning, or people think I'm crazy because whenever I'm on the subway and I'm going back into Brooklyn, I stare out at the skyline. And I'm like, I'm going to own this city. Every time. It doesn't matter. And that hadn't happened since the accident. But actually the other day, when I moved back into New York, the first day I was coming back from the city, it happened again. So it's like little milestones like that, man.
Yeah, man. The little victories, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't even know that, though. So don't tell him. He doesn't need to know that.
He doesn't need to know that. Well, listen, if it's any consolation, Chris, I'm the baby of my family. My brothers are 18 and a half and 12 years older than me.
Sheesh.
I always joked and said I was the milkman's kid. But I'll tell you, man, I had to do the same. That's why I got involved in martial arts. So many, many years ago, I put a pair of gloves on both my brothers and I said, now what?
Payback time. Payback time, baby.
Oh, payback time. I said, come on, man. I put both hands behind my back and I said, go ahead, try.
Give you a 30-second head start. Let's go.
But that's sometimes also what's needed, and it's clear to me that, because it's difficult, Chris. I think there's a lot to be grateful for, even in that story about your family, because I did a post a little while ago about sometimes love lines can be deeper than bloodlines. And so I really like that your younger brother was the guy who sparked something in your heart.
Yeah.
Because that's powerful to me. Because I feel, as the baby of the family, I feel like my brothers, I always joke around and I say between the two of them, they'd screw up a 2-car parade, you know? and, and, and the truth is that I'm glad, but I love that you've also said that now that you've come back, you're back again, you've got this amazing following, but that most importantly, that the people are there, that even though they're not blood, that these love lines are there to support you.
Oh
And
God.
that's really powerful.
They have no, I mean, I tell them I appreciate them, and there's never a way to express that adequately. Like there's so many of them. Like I haven't even processed that. I never even processed the first million. I still haven't processed the billboard I was on like last month. I still haven't processed any of it.
Yeah.
To me, I'm just still creating, man. I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, what am I going to shoot today? But I'm so blessed to be able to do that. It's like people always have, like, so like, do you think you'll make it as an actor? Like, what is making it to you is my question. For me, as an actor, making it is only acting. That's all I have to worry about. And that's worry in quotations. I don't have to worry about anything else. I got food, I got a roof, I can do what I want to do. And all I have to do is worry, I hate the word worry, but I get to perform.
Yeah.
And this is like, I'm pretty close. Like it's not the screen that I thought I would be on or the way I thought I would get there, but these strangers have saved my life beyond, not just metaphorically. They give me purpose again. Yes, performing is cathartic, and it's a way for me to feel. But there's only so much you can do if you're performing to an empty audience as an actor.
Of course.
So they've given me new purpose. They've given me immeasurable support. And they give me far too much credit. I'll tell you that. People, sometimes I try not to go into my Instagram DMs just because it's, I call it the wasteland. There's some things in there, but
there's some things in there.
Yeah. You heard there's some things in there. Chris Barnett, 2020. But every now and then I'll go through it and I'll see something in there that's like, you saved my life the other night. And I'm like, what the fuck was the other night? What do you mean I saved your life? I don't remember doing that. And it was because they watched a video. Maybe it helped them escape. Maybe it distracted them. Some of them are claiming that, my videos are why they wake up in the morning. I'm like, don't fucking give me that much credit. Like, maybe it's me being a coward. Like, I don't want that kind of pressure, dude.
Yeah.
But like, it's a surreal feeling.
I know all about it.
Dude, it's like imposter syndrome 1, but also like, seriously, guys, you give me far too much credit. I tell them that every time I'm on a live. I'm like, guys, I'm not this, like, you have me on a pedestal. Please don't. I'm not a mentor. You shouldn't look up to me, but thank you for supporting me. They don't listen to me. But I'm grateful for that opportunity. And if you told me 2 years ago that all of this would happen, I probably would have hit you in your face. Square in your face. Because fuck you. Don't lie to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's surreal, man. The gratitude I have for my supporters is, and that's one thing I noticed when I first started TikTok. I would scroll through and I would see all these people with millions of followers and the blue check mark and all of these comments, thousands and thousands of comments. And there's not a single like or a single comment or any kind of acknowledgement that these people are not only consuming your content, but they're the reason you are where you are. And it's just, it comes off, and I understand. It's impossible to interact with everyone. But to interact with no one because of that rubs me the wrong way. So I never wanted to be, and I will never be, someone like that. If you don't appreciate what got you to where you are, where you came from, so to speak, you have no right to be where you are.
No, but sometimes the universe has a good way of kicking you back down in case you don't appreciate it. That's for damn sure.
That's true.
You know, and that's why the idea of gratitude, and that's why the idea of really, living a life where, I said this at the beginning, Chris. I believe that there's really only two reasons. I've done mystery school teachings for 5 years. These were off the beaten path kind of courses. I mean, I did courses in astral travel and sacred geometry and all this other shit that most people would look at and go, what the fuck are you doing? In fact, most people looked at me and said, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you were like this martial arts dude, UFC coach, You even got the hat, the UFC coach hat, But the truth is that I was in search of something, Chris. I was in search because there was a void, because I was doing something that I love to do, no different than you are now, and were doing before the accident. So I believe that we're here for two reasons, and that's to remember who we are and then to help other people remember who they are. And maybe your videos are doing exactly that for some people, is remembering who they are.
Maybe, man.
And that's a really great thing, because I want to share something with you. I was a little scared to share this because you're an actor. In the Egyptian civilizations, it was the artists and the teachers that were revered. And now it's the actors and the rock stars, the musicians, the sports people, they're revered in the world. What I love about you is that, Chris, you've decided to use your skill, your God-given talent of connecting with people, of acting, of being able to play these parts that you're playing and create these videos. But there's a message that hits home. And I feel that there's a lot of actors out there that there's just no message. It's just about, okay, man, when's the next dollar bill coming, But I love this. And that's why you're here on this show, because there's a message. You may have the 4.4 million followers or whatever it is, Chris. I don't know how many million it is, but I'll tell you, that's not what impressed me. What impressed me was the message, was the story. And the fact that you're doing so much for everybody else with your talents is what hits home for me.
You're giving me too much credit, man. I'm just a guy out here being a dude, man. That's a quote from one of my lives that has stuck somehow, because I'm just trying my best. Take it one day at a time. Trying to make people feel something. I don't care what it is. That's my job. Is make people feel something. You could hate me. You could be angry that I made this. You could, and people will tell me. They're like, I hate you. I'm like, my job is done. Fantastic.
That's it, man. You feel something.
But that's all I'm trying to do. And the fact that just the feeling of, I cannot describe the feeling of having people believe in you. Not just say, you're talented or you're this or you're that, but like the fact that people are willing to just like, someone watched all of my TikTok videos the other day and sent me a very heartfelt email. And they're like, I spent hours watching every single one of your videos on TikTok. And I posted a lot of videos on TikTok. And the fact that it made this, I'm not going to give too much personal information out about her, but she had a similar scenario where she was a performer that got a shit hand dealt to her. And she said that knowing my, like, part of my story and watching my silly videos on TikTok inspired her to get back in. And I thought that was so cool. because it had been 20 years. 20 years she was in hell, you know, as you put it, away from her, who she is. And somehow, some way, I don't know why, but my videos were able to spark someone, and that is so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, man.
It's little wins like this. I have screenshots of because dude, I'm still depressed. Like, depression doesn't just go away. Like, I wish I could appreciate more of what I have more often. I mean, I appreciate my supporters definitely every day. That's why I continue to do what I do. But like my life, like everything else, it's hard to take stock of and appreciate. That's why I force myself to practice gratitude every day. And I encourage everyone to do that. 3 things. 3 things in the morning, 3 things at night. Doesn't even matter if it's a fucking sandwich you ate. You're grateful for it. And it helps kind of, at least for minds like mine that are hypercritical and just kind of disgusting to yourself. You know, it'll help change that dialogue, flip the script a little bit, and remind you that, you know, you're fine. You're doing great. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. I don't know, man.
Words right out of my mouth, man.
It's crazy. I'm so grateful, dude. I still haven't even processed that, but you're talking about being revered, and I'll. You're right. A lot of people, they get to a certain point, and it affects them for the worse. And people constantly tell me, even you said it in your little thing opening. You're like, he's famous. Like, dude, I'm not famous. Like, fame to me is like, you have the power to change someone's life just by like meeting them or like something. I don't know. I don't think fame has never been my goal. Like, sure, if it helps me, you know, make my own movies and shows and stuff, sure, art, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think I'm famous. But if I can actually, you know, change somebody's life, then that's good enough for me, man. That's pretty cool.
And that's what I love about what you're saying, Chris, because fame is an interesting thing. And it's an interesting word because you're right. What is fame anyway? But at the end of the day, for me, what's important is that if there's people, you know, let's change the word. Let's change the word from fame to influencer. You know, I know I'm not a big fan of the word, but at the end of the day, if people are saying something about what you've done and what you've created, the other axiom of choice theory is we can only control our own behavior. We can't control anybody else's. So if there's people that's feeling that, then that's really important, even to really embrace that, because if it means that you're going to be famous and you're going to share a message, and this message is of not giving up, this message of if you're rock bottom, then what it means is that you only have one way to go, and that's up, then somebody's going to take that and say, yeah, he's right, man. He's right. And so as long as people, I don't care what word you use, influencer, famous, I don't care. But if they're doing it for something that's good, Chris, I want to coach leaders. You know why? Because if leaders are the people that are talking to dozens of other people, hundreds of other people, and they can take the energy, just like somebody wrote in the chat today, take this energy of this room and go share it with your families and your communities. Take this positivity, take this message, and maybe you see somebody who's down and you smile at them and you change their day, or you say something and you change their day. That's what I want fame to be.
That's great.
Yeah, man. That's the way I feel about it. I had a little bit of that, if you want to call it fame. I was a guy, an Italian dude, of Italian parents who decided to do an Asian martial art and travel halfway across the world in a country where I couldn't even order a chicken because I didn't know at the time what the word for chicken was, you know? But I stuck to it and I learned something. And certainly I know that, you talk about all your TikTok videos. Well, I'll tell you, my friend, we have a saying in martial arts, and that's repetition is the mother of all skill.
10,000 hours, they say, right?
Fear not the man who knows 10,000 kicks, but the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. So that's exactly what
that quote and Bruce Lee come to mind when
Of course.
The water quote, be like water, my friend.
That's right.
Well, yeah, you got to adapt or die. I mean, and it still kills me that I still have some friends who are phenomenal talents. They're actors, they're triple threats, act, sing, dance. And they think they're too good for social media. Like, why would I perform on social media? I'm like, I don't know. I could give you like 4.4 million reasons why.
I love that. I don't know.
I mean, have fun at your promotional gig. I'm gonna wake up and think about what I'm gonna shoot and what role I'm gonna play tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of those entitled actors. Like, I'm in training. I would never stoop so low as to perform for the riffraff on social media. What? Get over yourself, dude. What?
Yeah.
You pay all the thousands of dollars for, for training, and when do you actually get to act? In an audition, which who knows when you're going to get that. In class, which you're paying tens of thousands of dollars for. But outside that, if you don't book anything, when do you perform? It's just not enough for me. Like, I need to be able to perform all the time. I'm the crazy guy in New York who's walking down the street throwing on accents and practicing monologues. If I'm out with friends, I'll just like start a scene on my own and hope that they join in. But if they don't, it's fun. No, I mean, I used to do it all the time. It's just that people hate it, but like, I love it. Like, if you're with me and you're a female, I will literally fake propose to you in Times Square just for fun, just to see what happens. Like, let's do a scene. Let's draw some attention. Let's create some chaos in the best way. But I need to perform. And like a lot of these performers, they seem to think they're too good to do that. Like, what? You're never going to stoop below the big screen. Is that what that is? Because, I mean, if you add up all the little screens I'm on, I think it's bigger than yours. I don't know. Yep. Just don't think you're too good for something. Adapt. And most of all, do what you want to do. Like, yeah, of course. People are like, I'm scared to post acting content on TikTok. And it honestly broke my heart when I started doing, like, one of my biggest videos was the vintage acting challenge. I used to watch old movies with my grandma. And I have this transatlantic accent, one of the 1930s called, don't want their accent back. But I did a vintage acting challenge, and a lot of the people were like, I'm going to make a new account to duet this. And I didn't really realize why. And then a lot of people were like, I want to do this so bad, but like, I'm too nervous or I'm too scared. A lot of people were so concerned with, one, the hate they might get from strangers and from their friends. I was like, if I could just convey to you how little it fucking matters. It's irrelevant. It is irrelevant. Everyone's opinion of you, except your own, for the most part, is irrelevant. Like, you cannot control people's idea of you.
No.
Christian Bale, and I don't always like his quotes because I've heard he can be a little intense to work with, but he said, if you have a problem with me, call me. And if you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. So think about the people whose opinions actually matter. And then think about what you want to do. The worst part is, I think, of life is fear. People are so afraid, and myself included. I'm trying to reform myself as a perfectionist. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of not being good enough. But, perfect is the enemy of great, because nothing's perfect. And if you're seeking perfection, you're never going to start. On the other side of fear is happiness, man. And I encourage you, nerves and excitement, anxiety and excitement are literally the same fucking chemical reaction. It's the same chemical. It's just about your mindset. If you're thinking about what could go wrong, it's anxiety. If you're thinking about what could go right, it's excitement. It's like winning and losing a game. You go into a game or a fight and you're thinking about, I can't wait to win, or I'm going to win this fight. You're excited. If you're thinking about like, oh God, he's got a really mean right hook. Like, I need to keep my distance. What if this happens? What if that happens? He's really good. What if I lose? That's nerves. So just channel it, man. If you want to create. Life's too short, man.
You ever heard the acronym for fear? That it was an acronym?
Oh, I have. Oh God, what is it? Please tell me it.
Our version of it was false expectations appear real.
That's accurate.
And that's accurate to me.
It's not real. It doesn't exist. It's a hypothetical.
Correct. So, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about what's next, man? Like you're back in New York City. What's going on? Like, what's going on in the life and times?
My goodness. I wish I could tell you more, but I'm under NDA, but I recently got some very big news from my manager regarding myself and another creator that I'm sure most of my supporters know. I don't know if I can say her name legally, so I won't. But we got some very exciting news. And I cannot wait to share it with you all. It's the start of something really, really exciting. And I mean, I don't process anything anymore. Like I can't, because then I'm scared. It's the PTSD. I'm like, it's all going to get taken away the moment I'm happy. But I'm working on that. But really big news, and that's on the acting front. In terms of the creating front, as you see, I am finally getting onto Twitch, and the Twitchiverse, I believe it's called.
The Twitchiverse.
Thank you for having me. I'm great. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm gonna have my first stream on this Sunday, hopefully, assuming I can get all the tech stuff worked out. I'll have more specific, times when I get there and when I figure out if I'm gonna return this bougie camera yet. But I try not to think too far ahead. I'm just trying to whittle away one day at a time and enjoy it. Like, I constantly get burnt out. I burn myself out because I hyper focus. And then before I know it, I'm burnt out. And I get influenced, especially in this industry, the social media, by all these other things. Like, like the algorithm, is it going to perform? Like, all I care about is, like, are people going to see it? I don't want to create and put all this work into a story that no one's going to see. And unfortunately, on a lot of these platforms like TikTok, like, the more effort you put in, the worse it does.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a balance, man. And that's always been my problem in life. Moderation, finding a balance between what I want to make, what my viewers want to see, and what the algorithm wants to see. And it's impossible, but I'm working on it. And now I'm getting into the YouTube space where I can hopefully have more artistic freedom. And then Twitch, where I can, hang out and I don't know, play video games. I've been doing these talent shows on my lives on Instagram because I've got so many talented supporters. I'll just like pull somebody up and they're like, oh, I want to sing this song. And I've got like 14-year-olds singing Stevie Nicks, like, to a T. And I'm like, and then I've got people performing, monologues, like, and giving me goosebumps. And I'm just like, and it's inspiring because I'm like, I got to step my fucking game up. Like, these guys are so good. Jesus, why do they follow me? But it's amazing. So maybe I'll do one of that. I'll do something like that too. I don't know. I feel like with Twitch, as you've shown me, is like the possibilities are limitless here, man. You can really do what you want to do and follow your passion. Like, you're out here helping people. I can't even tell you how therapeutic this was for me. Like, I feel like a weight has been, and I have a therapist. No, Doris, if you're listening, it's not you. It was the situation. You're great. All right. And I know I need to schedule a session. I know. But yeah, dude. And I'm not even that private about it, about all this stuff. Maybe about some of the more like the moment I decided not to end it all, that was a little more descriptive than I usually get. But other than that, I'm pretty open about it. But something about your presence and your energy, I don't know. It's not commiseration. It's like you almost like allowed me to relax, to be like, to release some of this. If I'm Atlas, all of a sudden maybe I'm only holding half the world now.
And my
Thank you.
boy Albert Wong just wrote, you know what I do, Chris, is I try to create a space for people to be vulnerable, because when you become vulnerable, that's when you really start to clear the blockages, where you can still get clarity and you develop balance. This is the ABCs of my company. I call them awareness, balance, and clarity. You get balance by exercising the 3 points of the triangle of body, mind, and spirit. You get clarity by focusing on the things that you desire most. So I get my clients to do a vision board, because I think vision boards are powerful, because, you've heard the expression pictures are worth 1,000 words. Neil Donald Walsh in his book Conversations with God says, the representation said, words are so limitless. That's why whatever you call God doesn't come to you with words. He comes to you with feeling.
I like that.
And so creating the space for you today has not only been my honor, but maybe it's allowed you the opportunity to see how wonderful just you really are. And that the reason why you have this support, Chris, is because there really is something special about you. That God put something in you, and that there's a mission for you, and that your mission is going to be delivered through your acting.
I appreciate you, man. You're doing something really special here.
Appreciate that too, brother.
I just met Mel a couple days ago through a new friend that I just met, Josh. But I'm sure you all know that sometimes you have that instant, like, these are good people. I like these people. Like Josh selflessly started telling me about Twitch, and then hooked me up with Mel, and I was like, yeah, go on a talk show, hang out. We met, we chatted. I was like, this guy's chill as fuck, and he's got some. I'm probably by far and away the least interesting guest he's had. I've heard about some of them, but like, I didn't come in here with expectations, but I thought anyway, but I did not expect our chat to be so cathartic for me, so therapeutic.
Thanks, Chris.
It's nothing I haven't said before, which is why I can't wrap my head around it. So it's you. That's the only other variable. So your presence, your energy, man, it's and your story, and for sharing with me what you did before the show. I think it's this weird unspoken thing for people who have hit. It's like a oh, you also know what it's like. It's like this invisible badge to everyone else.
Of course.
But
you know what the difference is, Chris, is that you've decided to not wear your trials and tribulations as a badge to show off to the world that, look at me, I got all these problems.
Everyone got problems.
Everybody's got problems. But I'll tell you this, man, that's why I have a great deal of respect for you. And that's why there's this energy in the room, bro. I feel your heart. I see your light even when you don't see it yourself. That's my superpower. I've been that my whole life.
Probably made you a hell of a coach too, didn't it?
I'd like to believe so, but I'll tell you, man, I've pivoted, and what can I say, Chris? I'm struggling every day, but I have faith and hope that through that I'm going to provide people more than just a little bit of IQ of how to do this, that I'm going to be able to do it through this platform, even through Twitch, to have a guy like you to come, that I connect with your heart, man. Chris, I connect with your heart.
Amen. Like I used to say a lot, there's not much there, but we got it beaten again. So
So listen, I want to take the last few minutes just to kind of, because you can't believe it, bro, but it's almost 90
few
minutes
minutes?
already.
No. Oh, there's a timer in the.
You believe it? So
Dude,
I have to
you
do
got me to
something.
sit still for almost 90 minutes.
Yeah,
You
man.
got me to sit still for 90 minutes. You made me hyper focused. That's impressive, sir. Well
Thank you,
done.
sir. So I do want to give the audience an opportunity just to ask a couple of questions, because I've been the guy asking the questions, but I know that, first of all, the chat is going absolutely fucking bananas.
There's a chat? I can't even see it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see it
Oh,
on
that's
your
fine.
end,
Maybe
but
I don't
it's,
want to see it.
yeah, it worked out well because you know what? That kept you hyper focused, baby. So, I just wanted to give an opportunity and to really say from the bottom of my heart, Chris, what an absolute honor it has been to spend 90 minutes with a guy who is delivering a message through his passion and through his creative expression of acting. And what an absolutely wonderful thing that is. And the world needs this. And I couldn't be more grateful to you for taking the time to sit with me. So if there's anybody in the chat and you have a question, please, there's so many people. I mean, oh my God, bro, like, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Evil Ginger and Franny
Oh my God. There's some of my OGs. Hi,
That's
guys.
it. They're all here, man. They're all here.
I'm telling you, these people, they're
Dude,
so supportive, man. It's crazy.
you're awesome, bro. People love you.
Oh my goodness.
It's awesome, man. I love it.
Dude,
I'm so
it was
happy.
my absolute pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions if they got any. But I feel like they see me all the time.
So I
Franny
got
has a
a
question.
yes, I got a couple. I got it. Would you go back to you at rock bottom and tell them anything? What would you say? Big question.
When I go back and visit myself at rock bottom, I always joke around and say run the red light. But if I could go back in time, I'd be like, run that red light, dude. But I wouldn't. In truth, I would say you're almost through it. You're almost there. Just don't give up.
Kath Dariba writes, I don't think I have a question, but I want to say that you are worth it. And thank you for helping me through the dark time.
Me? This is what I mean. Too much credit, man. I'm glad I could help in some small way. Thank you. Because I don't think you guys realize how much of a give and take this is. Because you guys get me. When I said you saved my life, more than metaphorically, that means literally as well, guys.
That's right.
So thank you.
I'm going to put that quote up on the screen, bro. Poutine Nation, who's a great, it was Josh, of course, and he's just an absolute gem of a human being. Hold on. That was mic drop. My God, the chat's going so fast. I can't even keep up. This is you're almost through it. You're almost there. Just don't give up. Chris Barnett. You heard it here, folks, on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. Thank you, Chris. What I'm going to do now, brother, is I'm going to put you backstage for a moment just to give my final thoughts, and then I'll catch up with you in another minute or so, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But please, some final words, please, Chris.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Mel, for the opportunity, especially on such short notice. And thank you for your energy, man. I truly appreciate it. For everybody, I can't see the chat, but I hope you guys have been behaving. If you're my people, I know how you can get. Thank you for supporting me on all of my platforms that I can't even keep up with half the time, but you guys somehow do. Thank you. For from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. And if I have any advice, it's that Matthew McConaughey said, life's going to try to get you to follow some rules, but you got to keep on living, baby.
Keep on living, baby.
That's basically it. So whatever you want to do, whatever sets your soul on fire, it doesn't matter how big or absurd the dream is or what anyone else says, it's your life. And if you're not going to live it, no one will. So don't give up. Don't give up, guys. I think that's the main lesson.
Amen to that.
All right, brother. I'll see you backstage.
See you in a minute.
Thank you guys again so much. I really appreciate it.
What can I say, man? Wow, Albert Wong. Wow is absolutely right. Jennifer, all the usual suspects on the Coffee and Biscotti show. Sandra Mio. I don't know if my girl Rum Cakes is here, but thank you all for being here, and for all that were new here today. Thank you. Thank you for making this so special for me, and thank you for making this so special for Chris, because I think he really had his heart touched with all of you being here and all the wonderful comments in the chat. I don't have much to say, because it's the first time that I'm left a little speechless, and it took a guy like Chris to do that, because what he said is absolutely true. I don't care where you are in the world. What I care about is that you're going after the things that you desire most. The things that are in your heart. Our biggest challenge in life is to discern the difference between what's mind and what's heart. Because the mind, according to Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul, is a terrible roommate that tells you all sorts of shit. But your heart will never steer you in the wrong direction. So whatever you're doing, wherever you are, go do what you love, and don't let anybody stop you. It's cost me a lot in my life to do the things that I love, and I've lost many relationships over it. And I sit here in front of all of you, and I can tell you that I just kept going, and I continue to keep going. I've got so much to learn. I have guys that are with me, that are supporting me, the Wolf Pack, Danny Oberon, Tom, Albert Wong, Nick Ham, all these absolutely, Tuan, Josh, all these guys who are super, super human beings. And I'm grateful for all of them, because sometimes I look to them, even myself, for some support and to push me forward. I lost my father 2 weeks ago, and I said this on my last show, that if there's one thing that he taught me, a very simple man, a man who worked for the same company for 42 years, all he said was, go do what you love and love what you do. So, my friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I hope to see you again next week. We're bringing back Crew Warren Lee, because we had problems with the technology last week. But this is a guy with a story, and he's an Asian guy who's going to talk about growing up Asian, difficulties had, and becoming a school teacher and then leaving it so that he can go after his dream of being one of the top schools in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for Muay Thai and kickboxing. And he's going to be here next week. So join us next week again. Thank you to all of you for being here again, to my regular crew, and to all the new friends that I made here today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Josh, where are we rating to, brother? Let us know, and we can rate away, my friends. We will see you here next week on the Coffee and Biscotti Show. From my heart to yours. Peace out.